In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you quite a chilled and relaxed walkthrough and tour of some of my witchy spaces and how my witchy space is kind of evolving. It's not going to always look like this, but I am going to get to showing you a little bit of what is going on at the moment in my witchy spaces. So if you are in the mood for a chilled, relaxed, fun, kind of vloggy style witchy video that's going to give you all of the folk, witch, hearth witch, traditional witchcraft vibes, then stay tuned, get yourself a nice hot drink, settle back, relax and enjoy. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I'm so excited to film this because this is kind of embarrassing. I filmed an intro and an outro to this video like a year ago, I think, and I have never used it because I never got to actually filming the rest of it, and here I am thinking that the rest of it's the easy part because I don't have to be in front of the camera, so I can literally film it at a different time. You know, batch filming, obviously. I just didn't do it, and now it's just been too long. So I look different, my hair's different, I've probably changed, you know, how people's skin and hair and face changes. I needed to refilm. So, and also the space has changed and new books have come in. I'm not gonna be doing like a book tour or anything, but things are different, right? So I just thought, you know, let's just make it fresh, a fresh start, you know, and yeah, I wanna share some of the spaces. I'm not gonna share everything because I don't wanna share everything and because some spirits, people aren't happy for me to share everything, so I'm going to be gauging that, and I really hope that you are excited. Get yourself a nice hot drink if you haven't already. It's going to be like chilled vibes. I'm going to show you around and just talk, you know, like I'm chilling with a friend, a witch friend basically. So yeah, you're invited into my space. So let's just get on. I'm gonna give you a little tour of some of my spaces. I don't even know where I'm gonna start. I'm just looking around trying to figure out what I'm gonna do, but I really like the idea of just like going with the flow and like just, you know, playing. So hope you enjoy. Okay, so this is Lilith's Altar space, and so I like to sit here and meditate with Lilith, speak to Lilith, commune with Lilith. So I have the Lilith Altar out at the moment, and this usually sits on here. I have a burner here, and this was from Starchild. This is by Your Sacred Life on Instagram. So I've got some other tarot cards as well. So this is from the Serpent Icons tarot deck that I shared in my recent tarot video. Obviously Lilith's Sigil, this is something I'm charging. This is also something that stays on this altar space. I have a spider there who's passed a long time ago, and some other stones and things that I work with in the space. Oh, and this is from, I think it's the Dark Royo, but it is the work of Louis Royo anyway, the artwork. And then this is from the Lilith Altar, it's just here, but this is also a sort of representation for the Morrigan, so they're both there. The Morrigan has like typically been a lot more private in terms of like what I have been able to share. Oh, I have this as well. This was from the Witch's box, so sometimes this comes up and on the other side, so it's a representation of Lilith as well. And then obviously this beautiful statue, this was from Etsy. This is the divination coin that goes with the Lilith Altar, so that's really handy as well. And then above I just have a moon tapestry, which is really lush. I love it in this space. This is actually in my bedroom space. I have my singing bowl here as well. So I tend to use incense sticks here unless it's like the weekend and I'm doing like a full ritual or anything, and then I'll use some of my blended incense for Lilith as well. Let me show you the chaos of the box beneath Lilith's altar. A huge amount of incense sticks that I am currently using and working through in this space. So there's a lot here. Not proud of the way that I'm managing this right now. I'm one of these people, I'm a bit like Monica, like I don't like mess. But so what I'll do is I'll like shove it all in a cupboard. That is not how I handle my shadows though. I like to do my shadow work, I get it all out in the open, but if I'm overwhelmed by something, I will just shove it away. But the idea with that was that it would be like readily available for when I'm working in this space and when I need incense, but then there was just so much and I kept buying more. And I think that's my issue. I think I just excess. I am definitely not a minimalist. minimalist at all, but I like tidy, I like order. So where I am at the moment needs some revision, let's just say. So I wasn't sure whether to share this or not because this is not typical, and the reason why this is here is because I used to have my jewellery and my tarot decks that were out over on another dresser, but at the moment we're having a wardrobe fitted in this room, and so everything is kind of in the wrong place. So all of these bottles and stuff used to be on that as well, and it was sort of like a glamour space and a space where I would enchant my jewellery and then I'd do my tarot readings and such, but this is usually an altar space which has now sort of just become a place where there needs to be stuff put here. So I will be obviously like cleansing this space afterwards and resorting out. This is some incense I made for Lilith a few weeks ago, and I've been using candle and just other tools that I tend to use. But yeah, I will be completely resetting this space now because obviously it's definitely compromised now in terms of like what I was working with here before. So I will be resetting all this when my wardrobe is properly finished and when I have somewhere for the rest of this glamour stuff to go. Then over here, this is also quite higgledy-piggledy at the moment, and it's not really my vibe to have a lot of stuff, but this is just stuff that I like to have to hand, honestly, because I have a lot of other stuff in the drawers, of course. So this is kind of what is here. So the Morrigan is up there. I have a candle for her and some other decorative items and some other items that mean things for certain things. I also have some spirit vessels up here. I have a lot of 7-day candles that I picked up earlier this year that I have planned for specific workings for, essentially. A lot of incenses I've made, some sprays, some amalgam that I recently picked up, and then lots of incenses from Starchild and some from the Witch's box as well. They're just that I like to have to hand. I really liked this, and then my best friend gifted me this candle and we were going to do a working together. And then down here I have the book from Anathema Publishing for the Serpent Icons Tarot. I have some oracle cards from the deck that I created for Morrigan there. This is a candle that I've had for a long time that I've worked consistently for my husband and I. A lot of essential oils that I have are in the drawer, but these are the ones that I sort of need to hand for certain things. Obviously smoke cleansing bundles. I have the Black Toad here by Gemma Gary. This is like one of my only hardback beautiful copies from Choro Books because I tend to get the paperbacks and scroll in them, but this is like a beautiful copy and I absolutely love this book, so it's like the perfect one to have in hardback. And then I've got some old journals here that I like to have here just to refer to. I have here some divination tools that I created. These pens here were made by my father, so handmade pens by him. He also made this chalice and I have another one, and I have some candle holders he made as well. I've got some Florida water, some Kananga water, some other, this is a Rekindle the Fire oil that I picked up when I was in Amsterdam from Botanica, just for sound cleansing. So you see there's a lot of stuff here. There's a lot of oils that I've purchased. Obviously, you know, I like to make my own, but I also do purchase oils, especially if they're not necessarily stuff that I've needed to work before. This is a pack of cards as well that is like the cheap playing card deck that I have been annotating that I talked about in my previous video. So I got this idea from Polish Folk Witch to like annotate each of the cards so that I could get to know the system. So that is a project that's kind of like paused for now. So as you can see, this is a little bit chaotic, and for me it kind of is like, I think I need to sort this out, but this is the point of the video, right? It's very real. There's a lot going on here. And then same here. So when I first had this idea for this shelf, it wasn't supposed to be this higgledy-piggledy, but because I currently have stuff going on with the wardrobe, I obviously have a lot more tarot decks up here. And these are the ones that are newer and that I'm sort of working with. I got this, it's actually a tea towel that I got from Amsterdam in this beautiful home store, but I thought it would be beautiful as like a reading cloth. I thought it was so lovely. And then like just lots and lots of decks really. And in my recent video, I went over a few that had come in, so you know, I'll obviously be updating you with more of those soon. I have a couple of stangs here. One of them I actually have plans for. I'd like to pick up one of the stang toppers and feet from Museum of Witchcraft from Boscastle, because they do these beautiful horned god toppers and feet for stangs, so I'd like to do that with one of them, and then the other just keep it as is. So that is a plan for the future, but I do tend to use these if I am doing something a little bit more ceremonial within this space. So then down here. This bookcase, I really like it because it is sturdy enough to hold all this weight, but I'm gonna say this is so impractical because it doesn't have the sides and I really need the sides. So I've had to like pile up a ton of like stones and candles on either side, and there's a bookend there with my husband's little knickknacks. They're his like little companions. So I think that this bookcase isn't ideal. So if anyone has any recommendations for heavy duty bookcases like this, like because I picked this up from Amazon, if anyone has any recommendations for ones like this but that do have the sides, please let me know, because I really struggle with bookcases, and as you can see my books are still overflowing. So some of these books I've read, some of them I haven't read. It's kind of an ongoing sort of thing where books, I do try to keep them, as you can see, in some form of colour coordination, but it doesn't really stick, I'm afraid. I mean, in here it doesn't stick. It tends to stick in the other bookcase, but here I tend to be a little bit more higgledy-piggledy with it, as you can see, because I pull things out and I'm using things. I also have diary here, and then this is, I think I know what this is. This is a printout of By Moonlight and Spirit Flight by Michael Howard, because it was online and I wasn't able to pick up a copy. I think now that it is available again, because there was a time when it wasn't, so that's when I got that. But that I've still yet to read. But I've been reading quite a lot of books about the witch's devil, and a few of those I highly recommend. Some books I've read, some books I haven't read, some books that I refer back to, some books that I'm getting back out again. So this is kind of like a rotation bookcase for me, because this is in my bedroom space. So books that are on this shelf will always be shuffled out, so I think that it's kind of normal for them to be a bit messy, to be honest. And then down here it's even more messy, I think. This bookcase, I think I tried to make it look nice with things, but now it's definitely in need of like a reorganization. So this is a very real video, I'm being honest. So Mariah Carey, which I know, like, but it's related for me. More journals. This is another journal book here. I picked this up from Glastonbury when I was there at the retreat, the autumn equinox, and there were some really beautiful articles in here, so I thought I'd hang on to that actually, because, you know, it's other practitioners' work and I thought actually really beautiful. So I have some things that I've been working through for the last few years, my astrology course, more study materials down here, Queria, modern herbal, medicinal plants, the Devil's Dozen, I love this one, plant witchery is beautiful, Buckland's complete book of witchcraft, referring back to that for research, more in here. So I've read some of these this year, some of them I was referring back to again. I really like a lot of these books and I like having them close by. Some of them I read a long time ago and I just think referring back to them. This book, Mansions of the Moon, the Green Witch, I never finished. I didn't really particularly jive with it, so I'm not entirely sure about that. It's kind of here in case I would like to finish it really. But yeah, some books, as I said, on this shelf, still working through, and some of them are here to refer to and to dig back into. It is a bit higgledy-piggledy. It's not ideal, but it's an honest representation of where I'm at in this space. So this is my husband's bedside table, and normally we just have one image here, but I have some of the pictures that are here because of the work we're having done. So there's our lamp, but this is a shaker jar for my husband and I, and then this is a little rose quartz tree that my mother-in-law purchased for us, and I keep it on this side because it's to do with our ongoing work together. This is my bedside table, which tends to look a bit like this at the weekend, to be honest with you, a bit of a mess. So I've got some coconut oil here, which, I mean, it used to be in the drawer when it was a smaller jar, but then this jar is too big, so it's out because I like to put it on my lips. So I have this beautiful pink amethyst I bought this year. This is a lovely candle that my best friend purchased for me. I have my devil's nut here for protection. I have a crow's feather for protection, some shungite there, some smoky quartz, and basically just protective kind of amulets and things. I love to pull cards from the Magdalene Oracle before bed, and I've just got this one in. I'm so excited for this because obviously if you've seen my recent video, Glamour Magic, this is all my thing, but I haven't started this yet. The Bohemian Gothic arrived this week and here it is, so I've been kind of playing with this, and my latest oracle as well is this incredible horror oracle. I did a reel of these on my Instagram, and it's just the book. And then I'm currently reading The Witch's Cabinet as well, which I love, and I'm also reading this finally, so I'm excited by this. So far I've absolutely loved this. I have a journal here. This is Shadow Work Journal with Lilith. This is a beautiful book that I picked up for turning into like my black book in terms of like Aidan Wachter and that process in Aidan Wachter's book Weaving Fate. So this is, I've yet to start this, but that's for this specific work. I have some other books on the floor. Of course I do. Oh dear. This is my smarter Lilith grimoire as well that I'm always painting in and working in. So again, I have overflow here, so some books and crystals, some things that are being referred to, some things that have just come in, like the Grimoire Verum has just come in, the Book of Lilith I've been working through, Lilith's Fire I've not yet started, this Gnostic Gospels came in the other day, obviously read Energy Magic of the Vampire this year and I've been referring back to it, in Wicca, Canticles of Lilith I always refer back to, and Modern Magic I refer back to. This was when it was supposed to look nice. So Visual Magic I was referring back to for some research because I loved that. Crafting the Art of Tradition is one that I read this year. Hoodoo Herb and Root Magic, I have not read this yet. This is Flower Fairies of the Wayside. This was mine when I was a child, and again, just a lovely crystal. And then some novels, so the Stone Blind with Medusa and Wayward, and then some journals in between. Journal here, and then these were some of the books. Oh, this is sketching paper and writing paper. Some of the books that I picked up in Glastonbury. Lesser Key of Solomon obviously started, but the others I have not yet started. So there's a lot to read, as you know. My list is always getting bigger, and it seems that now I probably need even more shelf space because it's ridiculous. This is my little like Pusheen. I used to have like a little pile of like inner child toys and things in this spot, but right here is my makeup desk that has again been moved because we're putting the wardrobe in. So I've got some very special toys. This was handmade by my auntie who is now in the spirit. So this is a really special piece for me, and just some other pieces that were my children's. And then I've got one of my Book of Shadows here. So it's again just a pile of stuff because of the work we're doing currently. So I honestly didn't think about sharing the bathroom, but this is some eucalyptus. It has obviously dried out quite a lot now. And when I purchased it a while ago, I put like a small bundle into the shower. So that's kind of what I do, but this is what's remaining and it's just on the dot. This is just a little spell that is there for a specific reason. Over here, this is the windowsill, and I have a couple of items here. So I have a little feather, some rose quartz, a little roller. This is an eyelash serum I really like, gua sha. Then just conditioner that I really like. This piece of bark I found absolutely gorgeous and I just love it in this space. This is a peppermint oil for my scalp. Lots and lots of like hair products, shower products, etc. And I just like the crystals being in here. I did for a while have a really, really large rose quartz tower here, but now that's on my old space. And within the shower, I had this plant hanging from the shower, but it did fall down because the rope, the string broke. So I do need to now tie that up with something else, and I'd like to tie up some more of the eucalyptus as well. And this may be TMI for some people, but I've always hung lingerie and pieces like that up in my space as like a glamour. So this was the dressing gown. It's a Stella McCartney, and I had it for my wedding day. And I've got, this is a La Perla piece here, and I think this is Rosie Huntington Whiteley, and then just like a high street piece. I absolutely love lingerie, and it's just nice to have it hanging up, especially when it looks pretty. So. Okay, so this is like my witchy room, if you would call it that. But the truth is, I actually think I do more work in my own bedroom. But I do like this space. I will be honest, I haven't worked here in a few months now, but there are some things here that I do need to put away. I've got some essential oils I was working with and some thread I need to put away. And this tray, I picked this up on eBay this year actually, and it actually has an engraving which is really beautiful. I picked this up for spellwork actually, and it has been really, really lovely. Obviously talked about my spirit board. I have some herbs up here hanging for various different intentions. I have some death oil here that I made after reading Of Blood and Bones by Kate Froiler. More cleansing bundles as well, and I have a cauldron there that I tend to work with for big jobs. And again, this candelabra I also picked up I think earlier in the year from eBay, and I just think it's very beautiful. And my father made this for me as well, which you may have seen in other videos. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. I really do love it though. I love this baby little cauldron. I tend to use this for incense and things. So I still haven't found a little home for the crow. Here's some resins that I need to put away and some herbs I need to put away, so that's why they're there. I love Weeds in the Heart, the way that it looks, and it's just a beautiful book, so it's there. This is like more of the overflow, and I tried to make them look nice together, but to be honest, I really just need more shelves. I've read some and not others. And then up here I have some that I really, really like and some that I think I wanted to showcase. So it's a little bit of a decorative space. I would like to paint this room, I think, but it's just having the time really and being able to invest that time. And I'm not really a decorating person. I used to decorate with my dad, but he would always tell me what to do. So because I'm going to show you in these drawers, which is going to be insane. So this, I don't know even why I'm showing you in here. There's a ton of paper, a ton of filming stuff. And when I first did this, it made a lot of sense. But now I've just got too much paper and too many tools and things. So again, this needs some attention. This is less chaotic, but I'm sure to you it will look very chaotic. So over here we have herbs that are still in bags, and my plan really was to keep them in the bags and not use them, but I ended up, because sometimes, you know, you're in a different room and you just go and grab. So I have a number of jars, for instance, with rose petals in them, and I also have a number of bags of rose petals, and it just sort of happens to be like whichever gets grabbed first, you know. I have some different kinds of things in here as well. I gathered a few supplies a few years ago for some rituals that I didn't know if I was going to need. They were just sort of a just in case kind of thing. There's some jars back here that I have held on to, and there's some protective workings as well. These were just here because I bought them in this form and they stayed in this form, to be honest. This is an old like champagne box. So in here, there's some oils that I've made, some oils that I've purchased, some more nasty things, lots and lots of essential oils. As you can see, it's not exactly ideally organized, as you can see, but it works for me, you know, it kind of does the job. There's another jar thing there. There's just some very private things going on in this space, as you can probably tell. So this is a box of like incense. So there's some, you know, more incense of starry-eyed supplies. Yeah, just more like overflow of incense. I have a ton of incense underneath my Lilith Altar, like in a box like this, and it's just more of these kinds of packets of incense. So I have too much incense really. I need to use it all. I do tend to use it a lot, so it's just about getting through it really. This is a cleansing salt, I think. Yes, I got this from Elena from the Holy Witch. She sent this to me, so I need to use this. These were from the Holy Witch as well when it was the witch's box. And I have a poppet here. This has not been worked with yet, but it's being protected. Some white pins for some workings. I have like an overflow of crystals for certain things. I was going to a blessing ceremony at one point and I had to bring a number of rose quartz chips. I wouldn't like to get into the habit of purchasing these kinds of things anymore though, for obvious reasons. But these are the ones I had. These are left over from a crystal grid that I did years ago and I never ended up doing it again. But these are here in case I need chips for anything. And then there's more things back here. So there's more seashells and more supplies, some odd things as well. Thread, bags, lots of bags. I have never used my Rose of Jericho. I really think I need to because it looks like it's getting to a point of no return. So let's get her out. I was saving her and I don't know why. I think I do this. I save things and then I forget, and it's just, I don't know. It's a bad thing that I do. More jars here. There's like, again, some not so nice things. I mean, that's all right. That's Angelica. There's some broken glass there. Ash from a specific point. Casserolilla powder. Some seashells that were used in a ritual, and some other little knickknacks and things. Other little things. Salt, and then loads and loads and loads of candles. So some of these came from the witch's box, some of them were purchased for Halloween, these were purchased for a specific ritual. I have a lot of these pillar candles as well, a lot of these beautiful candles that are made in Glastonbury. I have some beeswax as well, which is really great obviously for making salves. I personally like to buy beeswax or soy candles, so that tends to be what I do, and I have a lot down here. As you can see, I've got some smaller table candles, lots of different colours, and they were in some form of order and they're really not now, so it depends on what kind of working I'm doing, what kind of thing I need. But my favourite sorts of candles to work with are kind of these, and this I believe is a beeswax. I think it might be a soy actually. I believe this is a soy candle. This is my favourite kind of candle to work with, a tape candle. I feel like they just anoint really well. I mean, apart from, I do like these, but I know these aren't beeswax, so, and that is my preference. And I also have some little jars down here as well. Oh, skull candle. This was for something specific. Lots of these little things as well for making salves. This drawer really needs some attention as well. It's been kind of like this for the last few years. So in here, again, I'm ashamed to say, there's lots of fabrics, some old diaries and journals, and yeah, lots of books and folders. I have like a lot of witchcraft papers that are loose in different folders and notebooks and such in there. So I shared this cabinet in a video a long time ago. It's a lot more higgledy-piggledy now, but it's less full than it was. This was my original cabinet when I was a teenager. It's like a little antique cabinet. It's got an easel on top at the moment. But in here I have a lot of herbs. As you can see, this needs to be sorted out, as you can really see, and I'm not going to sort it out on camera because I think that those videos are a nightmare to edit and they're just painful. Painful! Although I think that they're probably quite satisfying to watch. So I have some strange things in here. I have some of my menstrual blood that I worked with Morgan to retrieve. I also have some more of my daughter's hair. So this is my son's hair, and that's my daughter's hair there. I've got their teeth as well in a little jewellery box. And then over here, this is just more, there's oils and, again, look, random. So coffee grinder here because, actually that's just the box. The coffee grinder is behind the book stand if I want to make a powder or whatever. More for incense and things. And then over here, this is what you see. So I have my Reiki 1 up there, and then lots of these botanical prints. This is a beautiful print, I love this. Up here, and then just some old foraged herbs and botanicals, and this is just a bowl of crystals that I have in case I need to grab them. I love this mycelium print, I shared this. This is just a beautiful like antique bottle I picked up. This is still here from Halloween, I need to take that away. This is a goddess that I got from the Susan Bowers shop in Glastonbury. I like to use this as well. This has got a pentacle on it, and I do like to use these with tea lights and such. Your little yoni, little Buddha, lots of little crystal things and just things I've collected over the years, to be honest with you. This is a really old pot that I was gifted a very, very long time ago. If I can even open it. Got some hair in it. This was my grandmother's. So it's got some spell things inside. This is like an ongoing money bowl working. This was my wedding hair clip for essential oil mixing. And then obviously books. So you've seen this all 1,000 times really, I think. Although, as I have said, I obviously move things around a lot. Sometimes I'll come in here and like all the books will be like pushed to the back of the bookcase and they all look all higgledy-piggledy. It's because my kids like to come in here and mess them up. Quite cute and annoying. That's like, I guess, the biggest witchy bookcase, and I do like the way it looks. I do tend to try to keep it in colour coordination, but then it doesn't match with any of the themes or whatever, so there are all kinds of books everywhere. There are a lot of really good books on here. I probably should do an updated book walkthrough of all the books I've got, but again, that will probably take a very long time. So then I've got more books here. This is a candlestick holder that my father made, and I did a working, it was quite a big one, and had to put this in the freezer to get some of the wax off it, but it's kind of, yeah, it was a working with the Morgan, so now I think that this candlestick is kind of always going to be like that. Oh my gosh, I love this book, by the way. Some books here that are amazing, I love, and then this is kind of also just a bit of an overflow bookcase. There's some books that don't really belong and some other books that do. The reason I put these Jill Murphys here is because I had them when I was a child, and as you can see they are beaten. This was like kind of my intro to witchcraft, if you will. Like I used to read this and it used to, I don't know, inspire me a lot. A lot. So I was very little when I read these books and I've always been in my heart. So here as well that you can see Practical Magic, of course. And then down here, some astrology books and some art books and 5,000 spells, all of that, you know, some archetype books. Another fairy book down there, books about trees and mindfulness, Reiki. I suppose this is sort of an overflow spiritual catch-all kind of bookcase. So again, I think you've seen this space a lot. This is my tarot cupboard. Again, I probably, really, I do need to give this a bit of an organise and sort out. So I do have my ancestor altar here. I'm only going to share a part of it, so I don't want to share photographs, but I have a candle, again, my father made, and just some items across here. These are my cat's ashes, and then I have some fur in this little pot. I will show you this photo. This is like previous cats from a long time ago. And then Squeaky is here. And then so there are items on this that mean something. Again, there's more work to be done here. So now I'm in the kitchen space at the Herbal Apothecary. Little headdress I made. The leaves were for autumn, but I really like them, so I might keep them up. There's an autumn wreath up there, more bay leaves, some art by my son, an owl for Lilith, more foliage. There's lots of spider webs up there as well, which I can't reach, but I also kind of like them. I'm not gonna lie. More roses and yeah, foliage. Like this was from a year ago. I always go foraging for greenery around this time of year, and I then bless it and put it around the house and I leave it up. But now I think that it's time for that to come out. This is a beautiful witch, lots and lots of herbs and spices that I cook with and make oils and salves and tinctures with, as you know. This is a little autumn fairy that I made last year. This is where I tend to do some work. So I have a representation here of the witch's devil. It is based upon a face that I have for the Green Man, which is a garden item, which is currently in the garage because it's very heavy and I need to find some way to hang it up in our garden. We are still working on our garden, to be honest, because we moved in a couple of years ago and it was just a blank slate. I have a little salt blessing bowl here, mugwort oil. Here is where I tend to light candles for dinner times and for times when our family is together, and put this on the table. I have some herbs here as well. This is just some mugwort that I was cleansing the space with. Didn't want to let it go. These are some worry people that my daughter had in her room and they kind of got lost and my hubby was about to throw them away with a bunch of other things, so I sort of rescued them. Key, of course, bones, little fairy. This is some cat fur from my cat that passed away. More tarot decks. This is the blackberry tincture. I have the Kitchen Witch companion here, and then beneath it I have the Forager's Guidebook. Candles, more candles. Squash, this really needs sorting out, to be honest with you. I have the Halloween tarot here as well. So a lot of stuff that just really needs some organisation now. It's pottering. There's a lot going on, I know. Just give you a little overview. There's some more roses hanging up. I have a basket here of more hawthorn branches. So over here we have another bookcase. This has mostly got gardening books and lots of cookery books. Has like moonology here, because sometimes I refer to moonology if I'm working. And then lots and lots of incredible cooking books. Elf on the Shelf for my kids. Again, more incredible cookery books and powerful books. Like cookery books for me, when I was young, were like witchcraft books. I think one of the witchiest cookbooks has got to be this, The Essentials of Classic Italian Cooking by Marcella Hazen. So this is like Delia Smith for Italians. I love this book so much. It is just the most beautiful. I will just say as well, like, look what my dog has done to some of my books. Like, I was absolutely distraught. What is this book? This is a Nigella book. This is a Jamie's Christmas book. It's been torn to pieces. I have a beautiful book over here torn to pieces by a dog. So I was not impressed. She tore this one, Nigella's Christmas, as well, and I had to buy another one, which... Where's the other one? I bought another one because I was like, I'm not having this. I've been quite serious about cooking since I was quite young, because my parents were, especially my dad, was always a really good cook, and so it's always meant a lot to me. We regularly cook with this one. We absolutely love making bibimbap. My hubby makes it, to be honest. Ah, there it is. There's the new Nigella Christmas. But this that my dog chewed was the original. That I remember purchasing this when I was at university. And it was like such a treat for me. And honestly, Nigella Lawson's books for me have just been like so profound. They are like my kitchen witchery books. And this book, if you don't read any other cookbook, read this book. I read this from cover to cover when I first went to university, and it was a game changer for food, cooking, and understanding the kitchen. So love, love, love. I'm obsessed with food. I don't know if you knew that. I do a lot of baking and stuff on the channel, but I don't talk about it as much as I would if it was just a cooking channel, you know. But oh, I have to show you this as well because it is the season. I purchased this for myself from a charity shop when I saw it, because I was like, I have got to have this. But this is a book I knew from my childhood because my parents actually have one. This is the Christmas pudding my parents make every year. This year we're hosting and they're not going to come, so they're not even going to make one. And I'm not going to make it either. I've got a really nice local one instead. And instead of making the classic Christmas cake as well, I'm going to make a Christmas cake that I made a long, long time ago. I think I was in my early 20s. And it's like a modern twist on like a light Christmas cake. And instead of using dried fruits, I use a lot of like fruit in juice, and it's got a really tropical flavor, and then it's got like this kind of cream cheese sort of frosting, and it is almost like a tropical carrot cake. It's so good. I think I call it like a golden Christmas cake, and it's just so good, and I haven't made it in a long time, but it's always gone down like a treat. So over here again, This needs some work. So I have some petals scattered around because I was in the mood one day. This was a gift, obviously it's Lakshmi. This was a gift from my boss, Elena. So this is Lakshmi. I have never worked with Lakshmi, but Elena does. And so this is here to sort of gift prosperity, and I do spend some time with this statue. I tend to like offer coins and just spend time venerating, really. I don't really ask. But yeah, I like to think that Lakshmi is blessing us by virtue of the fact that my beloved boss and mentor, Elena, does work with Lakshmi. So that was a beautiful gift from Elena, which I love. This is a little pumpkin I haven't put away yet. It's just a beautiful stone that I found that I love. Get some little candle holders that are Christmassy, little lantern, some artwork. This is the pumpkin-y one, but a friend of mine purchased this one for me. Back here, this was also purchased by a friend. Oh, you know, I've just realized my lights aren't on. That's so much better with the lights on. So over here, this is a wreath that I made from scratch using brambles and some hawthorn berries. So it is for blessings and home protection, essentially. And I made this one about 2 years ago as well now. These are faux poinsettias. It has actually gotten bent out of shape a little bit now, which is a shame. I have our little advent here. We're not actually there yet. We're still in November, although by the time I actually post this, we might be in December. This is my little death nature bowl. There were just a number of unfortunate creatures I was finding towards the end of summer, as you do, and into fall, and I kept them here. And it's just a beautiful reminder of the transience of life and also the beauty in life and death. So I like that. I feel like it's honouring them, and that's what it's intended for. So I have a little salt lamp here that my mother-in-law purchased for us a long time ago. More roses and some oak. This is kind of a little, again, more foraged items, just sort of shoved in a vase. Haven't used this candle yet, or this candle. Little witch. My dad made this witch. This I found in the woodlands, thought it was incredible. Plants, need some love. Family pick. It's our little board for the family. This piece was gifted to us by my mother-in-law, and it's just a really, really beautiful piece for the family. It's like the tree of life. And then up here I've just got some other photographs. I've got the goddess and the hare and the moon, crystal, candle, etc. So this is like the kitchen witch station, I guess you could call it. So I replaced the pumpkin with the sweets in it with the Christmas tree with a load of sweets in it. My husband loves this, and so do my kids. This is a teapot I like to make my herbal teas with, so I often go Damiana and mugwort, or just the mugwort. We have some Christmassy pasta in here and some other plain spaghetti. This is a tea bag holder, cacao, because I'm always having cacao, pepper grinder that my dad made, lots and lots of boards, an egg holder that we're going shopping today, we have no eggs right now, and oats are in here, and I always pretty much have this out like all year round. I think I've shared this before on the channel, but witch's brew. And since now this is not really decor, I would like to eat this acorn squash, so that is the plan for that. These are some of my favourite witching tools, to be honest, kitchen witchery tools. So I've got my Magimix blender, my Vitamix, and my KitchenAid. I have had my KitchenAid since my 20s, and it was like my pride and joy. My parents bought this for me. Afterwards I got the Magimix, and then I got the Vitamix. So these for me are like the gold standard of my kitchen witchery practice. The truth is, this has a little hole in it now because I have literally like used this so much, and my husband and I need to get another flask. But the flask itself, like, it's like £100. Obviously the motor is what's really expensive, but the flask, like, to replace it, it's just, I don't know even what happened. I guess it's just run out. But the motor's absolutely fine, but we are not using this at the moment because of this little thing here. So my gold standard of kitchen witchery appliances is really kind of lacking right now. And also I think my husband made brownies the other day and didn't clean this, so I really need to get cleaning. And in another corner of the kitchen I have this sun tapestry here. It's again really nice. If you've been following me for a few years, you will have seen this wreath when I first made it. It was a number of years ago I made this, and it has faded. It's just supposed to be a protective home blessing wreath, so it always lives inside. It's very messy, but it has also been tattered and battered a little bit over the years, but I still love it. I love its whimsical kind of messiness, because it was literally foraged. A lot of it was foraged items, so it's very, very me, I think. So this is the living room. So over here we often have like a number of magical things, but also things that kind of just pass. So I need to put these away now. And also the sign, I have a Christmassy sign that can replace that. And then the pumpkin. I'm so sad though. I think my mother-in-law won this on like a quiz night and gave it to me, but you put a little tea light in it. It's really sweet and it lights up. I just have a spooky candle. I had this for years, you know. This is a protection witch's ball that I charmed, and I don't hang it because of my kids, so I have it here instead. This beautiful crystal, just a salt bowl. I have a White Company pomegranate spray, Jo Malone pomegranate noir, a beautiful peace plant which needs some love. And then this is a painting that my grandfather did that I absolutely adore. It means a lot to me that it's in this space, again in the original frame, which is sort of battered as you can see, but I love it in its charm. And this painting meant a lot to me. It kind of reminded me quite a lot of Caspar David Friedrich, if you know that artist and their work. And there's a lot of Christian iconography within those works that isn't actually in this. It's just something about the mood that more reminded me. But it was the time when I was reading a lot of Wordsworth and Keats, and Caspar David Friedrich's work was very, I don't know, evocative for me about the way I feel about spending time in nature. And I've talked a little bit about pantheism and animism and such, and that's like 16, 17, reading and learning about that and sort of pondering all of those things. So in my previous videos when I've talked about animism and pantheism, I go into that a little bit, but it kind of goes along with that whole era. So this is some of the things I think about and feel when I look at this painting, and obviously because it was my grandfather's, my mum's father, he was an artist, it means a lot. Over here, this is the windowsill, and normally it's better than this. It needs, again, some more love. Just has a little Buddha here. We need to sort out some stuff. I've got a little like money plant and a little lantern and a little candle holder without a candle in it and a pumpkin that needs to go away. So today is actually the cleaning day, so that's why a lot of this needs some help. So I know you've seen this space before, so I'll just show you briefly. This is just the entrance. I've literally been cleaning up some of the Halloween decorations, so I've put some bats away and things. Yeah, I have protective brooms and such. I need to put away the skull, some protective charmed flowers, the little cat down there as well. Very suitable doormat. Up here, the horseshoe. This is a painting I absolutely love. This was my grandmother's, my paternal grandmother's, and it used to be magical for me. I used to have a lot of dreams about this painting, and it's an original, a Beardsley. But yeah, this has always been really enchanting for me in the original frame, so I love this. So I've just hung up the very rustic, very messy little wreath with the hawthorn and the brambles in the meantime until we get the Christmas wreath out. So you can see it's already getting dark here and it's only the afternoon. It's really hard to see. I am gonna be loathed to put away this beautiful pumpkin. I could have pumpkins out all year if I'm honest with you. I've talked about this before in other videos and on my Instagram. This is like a little spirit vessel for fairies, like benevolent fae that wish to be in this space. I know we have some really lovely brownie spirits in this house because I've felt so supported in this house in terms of keeping it clean and just a lovely, lovely space. So they tend to really support with filtering out any like really negative vibes, or if we have any upset in the house, like it just gets swept out quite quickly with cleansing. And I really, really feel supported by the brownies in this space. So this is kind of a little honouring space for them to reside if they wish to. And I tend to make little offerings of little acorns and little blossoms and blooms as and when. This was a little rose hip and it looks so much like a little pumpkin, so I thought it was so cute. Conkers, feather, all these things kind of look higgledy-piggledy, but there is reason to madness. And then this is this beautiful piece of wood, and it's always shedding little bits, but it is stunning. My dad said that he might be able to spray it with something so it wouldn't be shedding, but I feel like it might almost compromise the spirit of it, you know, so it is what it is. So I'm gonna leave you there and you can return back to me. The last little pumpkins, you can see I need to clean the floor. We're gonna get ready for Christmas. So that about wraps up the tour for today. I really hope that you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments about where I got anything from, or any ideas as well, or comments, anything that pops into your head. And also if you've got any suggestions for videos or any suggestions for content that you'd like me to make on Patreon, make available on Patreon, please let me know, because I'm looking for inspiration always. I would love to know what you have going on in your witchy space. Like, what is your witchy space looking like at the moment? Do you have like a whole room? Do you have a whole house? Is your entire life basically full of witchcraft? Do you have like a little mini altar? Are you like working out of a box at the moment? Or like, what do you have? Because like, you know, I didn't always have all these books and I didn't always have all these tools. When I was first starting out, I've talked about this a lot, but you know, I was a small girl, really. I mean, I played with magic, you know, and I utilized visualization, but I didn't know it was called visualization, you know, I didn't know what I was doing, and I connected to spirits and connected to plants and trees and talked to animals and all of that, and sensed the energy in different places, like the seaside and the forest, the woods and stuff. And I remember when I was young, I would always be able to predict what the weather was going to do, especially like if the weather was going to be stormy or rainy. I knew before it would come on, so I just had a sense, like I'd feel it in my body, I felt it in my bones, but I also just knew. And so things like that, you know, I was always playing with it. But then I was 10 or 11 when I saw the craft, but I really think I started learning about Wicca when I was like 11. So because it was the inspiration, you know, and the spark, and then it was the practical magic as well, both of them sort of similar times. And I was fascinated because it was like, oh my gosh, there's actually like a world of this, and it opened up for me again. And I was very youthful, and I was still playing with Barbies basically. So I don't really think I ever lost that kind of imagination and that spark and that creativity and that spirit. You know, I was still believing in magic really, but it was starting to, because you know, I mean, I think as well, kids grow up so much quicker today. So I think getting an early start was really, really good. But I also think that I needed years to mature and progress and to understand things in a nuanced way and look at things in a different perspective. But when I first started, I had this bedside table, but I think it was like quite an old bedside table because there was space in it for like a wee pot. Not like a hole, it was like a cupboard. It may have just been a cupboard though, that's the other thing. It was just bedside table height. And my dad, he does woodwork now a lot more, but way back when, you know, he'd get a lot of antique furniture, and it's a lot of the stuff I have. So actually this came from Tim's family, and the cabinet for my tarot was one I acquired myself. But I have a table over there that was my desk, that's one of my altar spaces, and a set of drawers over there, that was a set of my drawers that my dad did up for me. So they're all different periods, it's all very mishmash, but I love that and the energy that came from the pieces. So my mum and dad would sort of strip them and recondition them. They wouldn't paint them or anything, but they would just buy them in pretty bad condition and just make them look beautiful again. My dad at a antique sales room found this beaten up old cupboard and did it up for me, and it became my little bedside cabinet, and I still have it in that space over there. This is the spare room, all my witchy space basically, and wardrobes and stuff, but that's the bathroom and it's the only place it fits. So at the moment it's in there, it's herbal cabinet. So it became really my first herbal cabinet as a witch, but when I first started it was my altar space. So if I was doing like rituals or spells, I would bring everything out, but I would set it up in my space, like on my floor. My parents knew what I was doing, and I was aware of fire safety, okay? In that cabinet, I would then, when I put everything back, I'd have like a black altar cloth. It was like a really, where did that cloth go actually? I don't even know where that, I don't even know what happened to that. I had some herbs and some crystals, and I had some incense and incense holder and some candles and pen and paper, really, that kind of thing. Very, very simple kind of practice. That's how I worked. And I did some kitchen magic as well when I was that age, working with the sabbats and things. And then just a lot of visualization, a lot of energy work. And it was just amazing though, and so creative, so exploratory, so fun. But that was my very first altar space, and I remember it so fondly. It was so magical. I loved it, and it felt so special, you know? It was a really special space for me. My point was just that you don't need to have all of this and lots of altars and all the books and all the materials to work really beautiful, effective magic. The magic is in you, number one. Know thyself, do the cleansing work, do the protection work, do the energetic work, do the visualization, do the warding and the shielding, do all of that, but also work on yourself, work on your spirit, work on, yeah, I want to do a video on this, like where I talk more about the spirit of the witch, the power of the witch, because people just don't talk about it. It's so important and it's like integral. So let's get into that sometime. So if you actually have any questions around that, then let me know so I can kind of incorporate that into my video. So yeah, if you've got questions around like cultivating your own spirit, getting to know your own energetic body, your own frequency, your own heart space, getting to know yourself as a witch and amplifying your power as a witch, let me know. I would love to hear any questions that you've got, and then I can maybe incorporate them into the video when I do get around to doing it. I have a long list of videos I want to do, and some of them will require more energy than others, so we'll just balance that out. But yeah, we have time. I want to do more tarot videos because I love creating videos about tarot, but I love creating videos about witchcraft, and it's like, why can't I do both? Because I feel like the algorithm just punishes you if you choose to do something other than what it thinks you are. And also, okay, there's the communities as well, because some people don't want witchcraft content, they just want the tarot. That's fair enough. Other people don't really want the tarot content, they just want the witchcraft. And I think I do, as a creator, kind of straddle the two areas of people who talk about tarot and divination and people who talk about witchcraft and paganism and the occult and animism and spirituality and those areas. And you know, I have said this before, my practice was rooted in witchcraft. That's where I came from. And I think that a lot of people don't necessarily know that. It started with witchcraft when I was really, really young. And so then I got into tarot when I was 17. And for years, I just had the Rider-Waite-Smith. Tarot is a huge passion, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's huge for me. But I have had some challenges, which I have spoken about in, I think, my January kind of roundup for last year video and the decks that I've been working with. I've had some challenges, but also, like, I want to make a video about that because I'm so much more refined with the decks I choose and the decks that I bring in, coming out about some hard truths, some realistic stuff. And as well within, you know, our tarot community, I think it's really important to be able to speak about the things that are important to you, but it's also, I think, important to be respectful of others, to be mindful of the fact that people are just humans sharing an experience. If we're going to be a community, there needs to be a level of respect. It doesn't mean we all necessarily have to agree all the time, and it doesn't mean we don't ask each other questions and debate about things that are important. I think there has to be a level of respect and human kind of decency that goes into it, and also just an awareness of that. You know, one thing I have been feeling is that I have spent such a lot of my life allowing others to tell me that what I'm doing is wrong, or I'm not right, or inherently I need to change. And I'm sick to death of it. Like, I'm sick to the back end of a donkey sick of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not only like, it's actually making me ill now because I've had enough. I've had enough of people looking at me thinking, oh, she's a nice girl, so I can treat her like shit. No, absolutely not. I've had enough of that shit. So done, just done. And I'm not gonna waste any energy on those people. I'm not gonna waste any energy on that shit. And you know, before, a few years ago, I think with YouTube, for instance, I haven't really had that many unkind things on YouTube. You know, people generally have been so lovely, but you get the odd comment that's just, I mean, obviously the Christian dogma trolls aside, the biblical verses, etc., you know, whatever, just ignore that most of the time. But that aside, some rude comments, you know, that are made and things that are said and thrown around, and it's like, you know what, if you don't want to be here, bye, because there are so many other channels that you can watch. I don't know why, but you know what, thanks for watching, and even if you put a dislike, thank you, because that's helpful. But also, I used to be like, oh, you know, I'm so sorry, like, da-da-da-da, this was my attitude, like, I need to make my channel like exactly what you want it to be. And no. I'm doing this, putting my energy into something, sharing my knowledge, my experiences, my wisdom, that is worth something, okay? And there has to be an energy exchange. If you're gonna sit there in my comment space, you know, troll, or you're gonna be hateful, be rude, or create a space that's just not safe for other people, you're gone goodbye. Or as well, you know, some people do make suggestions that are fair and that are actually reasonable. And sometimes they may be doing that in a polite way, in which case that's met with politeness, and mostly I'll try and accommodate that. But sometimes I do have to meet that with, I understand where you're coming from, but I can't do that right now, so, or that's not something that I can change about my channel. So if that drives you that insane, you can go somewhere else. And sometimes it's the way it's delivered, but other times it's just huge demands on your time, you know. I think as well there's been a lot of talk within the community about these kinds of things, like things that are something that comes up for content creators. And you know, I'm not a big content creator, I have a very small channel and a small community. I guess I like to think it includes witchy folks and people who are into tarot and divination, and that's cool. But as a smaller creator as well, sometimes you're more limited in the ways and means that you can do things. But I agree, and I understand that other larger creators have that limitation as well, and a lot more challenges thrown their way in terms of trolling and stuff. And so I think just be kind to your creators, please. Like, if you want to consume the content, be respectful. And even if you want to hate watch, okay, just, you don't have to tell anyone, just, you know, like, I mean, personally, I don't think that energy is good for you or is gonna support you in any way. You know, I personally feel that if I don't like watching someone, or I don't like someone's vibe, or even if what they're saying is cool but they don't make me feel good, then I won't watch them. And that's not usually a YouTube thing, that's more of an Instagram thing for me. It's not usually within the witchcraft space either, because most people I absolutely love to watch. It's only the people who are so dogmatic, who will insist that their way, it's their way or the highway, and that every other tradition or religion is kind of wrong. And you know, that's just not my view at all, and not my paradigm, you know. And that's kind of the answer I have for the Christian dogmatic kind of comments as well. That's not part of my paradigm, but cool. Or like, if it's like, oh, Jesus loves you, it's like, yeah, I know he does, he's an awesome dude, because I know him. But I don't ascribe to the same viewpoint or paradigm or worldview as you do, and that's perfectly fine in my book, you know, and that's beautiful as well. But I also feel like that within this community, within the witchcraft community, within the tarot community, it's not just the creators, the audience is the community, right? I want to lift up those voices as well and pay attention to those voices. But sometimes, I mean, one of my biggest frustrations with myself as a content creator is that I don't have the time to answer all of the comments, because like, usually it takes a few hours for comments. They don't just trickle in straight away. It will take a few hours or a few days for all the comments to come. And sometimes people watch videos that are older, of course, and it's like, I have a really busy life, I have a job, I have 2 small children, I am busy all the time, I'm studying an astrology course, which I don't always have time for. I have a spiritual practice, you know, I have a home to maintain, and I do quite a lot of work around that house. It's just full on. So just to have my own spiritual practice is challenging enough, then to create content is a huge thing. And so that's why things like Patreon are so important and so special, and I really, really value anyone who supports me over there and has supported me or will support me, you know. It is really lovely. But also at the same time, I've been working a lot on understanding my own worth, as well as, you know, just not allowing myself to be affected by the validation or the lack of validation from others, because, you know, I don't need it. People look at me and think I'm a nice person and they can walk all over me. I'm not saying all people, okay, I hate that generalization, but that's what I've had quite a lot, and so effing sick of it, you know, not putting up with that anymore. I'm not sure how much of this is going to end up in the video because I'm totally rambling. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, join us on Patreon. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. Also, I have an Instagram page where I share a lot, some spells, rituals, things that I'm doing, things I'm reading, what I'm up to, life stuff really, and more like now. Not always, some things are older, but you know, whatever. I have a TikTok, but it's quite old. There's some content, some plant spirit content on there if you're interested. So please come over and follow me. If you do choose to support me, that would mean so much. I also have a buy me a coffee page, as well as a direct PayPal link, and you can do a super thanks. And I'm also thinking about doing memberships here, but I'm not sure how that works, so I'm gonna check that out. I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for joining me and spending some time with me today. I hope you enjoyed it. Take such good care of yourselves, and I look forward to seeing you again in another video really soon. Take care. Mwah. Many blessings.